2021 and 2023 are the only two seasons that Ole Miss has won 10 or more games in the regular season. Now they're looking for back-to-back 11-win seasons for the first time in school history. Lane Kiffin's squad will have a favorable schedule as it avoids Alabama and Texas, but faces its toughest test against Georgia at home. Now few work the transfer portal like Kiffin and Ole Miss. The Rebels reloaded the roster with a class that includes 7 of ESPN's top 75 players in the portal. Jaxson Dart returns to lead an offense that ranked 3rd in the SEC with 35 points per game. Dart has thrown for more than 6,300 yards and 43 touchdown passes in 2 seasons since arriving from USC. We now welcome in Coach Lane Kiffin. Coach, coming off of your team's first 11-win season in program history, what is the message you're giving in the locker room about higher expectations that this team will be facing this year?
About worrying what they can control, which is not that outside noise, and is them preparing really well, having a great summer, practicing really well, getting into training camp, and coming together as a team. Because even though there are, on paper, some really good players, they haven't won a game together. And so we have a lot of work left to do.
Coach, you looked at the games last year that you came up a little bit short, and you said, hey, we got to get bigger here, we got to do this here, we need reinforcements here. You went out and attacked those places in the portal, and with some of the pieces that you were able to add, it feels like you're more well-equipped to win games that might be won or lost in the trenches than in years past. So how were you able to kind of go and get those guys that everybody wanted in the portal?
Well, I think you're right. On paper, or getting off the bus, we're going to look better. I don't know. That doesn't mean we're going to win. A lot of teams have done that, and even in professional sports, and done well in free agency, and they don't gel together. So we have a lot of work to do with that. But we did address, and I felt that was an issue over the years, and especially last year. With those upper echelon year in year out programs, the length, the size and length, and even though we've had some good teams and really good players. I think we've lacked in that area, and so we addressed that on both sides of the ball, especially defense.
And bringing in new players with the transfer portal, and like you said, they haven't won together, how do you get them to come together and be able to win?
Well, that's a lot of work, because like I said, there's been plenty of teams in all of sports, especially professional sports, that you look at where they've been put together that they're supposed to be good. And that there's a lot of work to do, and as Greg knows, football, more than any other sport, in my opinion, is the ultimate team sport, as far as a lot of players in a lot of phases have to perform really well with each other. So that's why there's a training camp and a lot of work to do.
Looking at some of your personnel offensively, you already had Trey Harris, great year last year. In comes Juice Wells. Priest Corn at tight ends, phenomenal. Bentley's going to be a good, solid, reliable back amongst many backs. A couple guys that are coming back from injury like Diggs and frankly Wells to an extent. There's only one ball. How do you keep everybody happy knowing that all those guys at some point or another in their career have been a major difference maker for their program?
Well, that kind of fits in, I say to our team, in life. Everything that has a cost has a benefit, and everything that has a benefit has a cost. Well, one of the benefit of all those players is it's a great thing to have. But there's a cost to that of, okay, where does the ball go? And so that's why we really work really hard on the culture of the team, and guys understanding the value of winning. You came from the greatest program ever with Saban, of getting players to do that all had these dreams of first round and how many balls that they would touch. And so we have a lot of work to do on that, but I think we have really good kids that are headed that direction in the way that they think.
Someone definitely heading in that direction is Jaxson Dart. Now, Coach, what are your expectations for him this season?
Well, just expect him to perform really well, and really, through the roller coaster of the season, which is going to happen. It always happens in every season, but especially in this conference, and very challenging games, especially road environments that we have coming up. Some of the hardest to play in the country, that he's going to have to stay really level for us. And when those dips come, he's going to have to be there for us and get us back up.
We've also got the 12-team playoff, which changes the narrative when it comes to the path to the national championship. In what ways do you feel your team can benefit from that?
I don't know that. I think the 12-team playoff is exciting for college football and exciting for fans and media, and keeps a lot of people alive late in the season for a national championship. But for us, that's so far down the road, and that really has nothing to do with how we prepare, how we play, and how we get ready to perform really well.
Looking at the schedule, Coach, and it's always so hard in this league, but we're done with divisions, which I think would stand to benefit a team like Ole Miss. I know you don't think necessarily cause and effect like that, but knowing that we're seeing some different rivalries, some games that we're not used to seeing on a regular basis, how does that impact your preparation in the summer and trying to know the opponents that you'll see in the fall?
Well, I think, like you said, we're right back into cost and benefit of everything. So it is neat, for the players to go different places. The fans, I think, more than anything, to be able to go different places than they have before. I think the cost is in this area, I'm a traditionalist. I don't think people think I am in many areas. But in this area, I really am. I like rivalries. I like traditions. I don't like, especially in some other conferences, some Pac-12 team, SC and UCLA, not there. But it is what it is. And so we'll try to focus on the positive, that it's exciting for fans and some different places. But there's some really cool rivalries and traditions that are now not in place, unfortunately.
Yeah, we agree with you on the rivalry stuff as well. Big fans over here about those too. We also, here at College Football Live, would like to pass along our condolences to you and your family on the loss of your father, Monte. What was one lesson you learned from him that has helped you become the coach you are today?
So many, but I guess in this area today, as I was flying over here, was his first rule to get better, that he always told players, coaches, to show up. So even when I got asked the other day, like, hey, are you still coming to this? And it's non-negotiable, just like he had. There were non-negotiables. One of them is you show up and you do your job.
Coach, we appreciate you showing up for us today. Another spot in which Ole Miss can really benefit is not having to play Alabama in the regular season. Now, expectations are high for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. The toughest game is a home matchup against Georgia. Oklahoma also visits Oxford. Now, while a road game at LSU is never easy, Ole Miss has a light non-conference schedule that includes Furman, Middle Tennessee, and Wake Forest. Now, if there was a year for Ole Miss to crack the 12-team college playoff, this could be it. Now, Ben, in years past, had there been a 12-team playoff, Ole Miss would have been in. Now, here we are. Expectations are pretty high for the Rebels. What is the biggest thing Ole Miss has to do to ensure they make the cut?
I'm sitting there looking at that schedule you just put up, and they're going to be favored in most of the games this year. They should be favored, except for maybe that home game against Georgia. And so what that tells me is this team needs to manage their expectations. What I mean by that, well, everybody's going to be writing about them, telling them how great they are. I'm going to be saying that they're going to be one of the teams to play for an SEC championship. How does this team manage all of the hype around them? It's one thing to play very well, as they did last year, winning 11 games, when not too many people are expecting it. It's another thing to come out now they're being the hunted instead of just a hunter. How are they going to play and perform on a week-to-week basis? More importantly than that, how are they going to practice? And, Kiffin has done a tremendous job bringing so many players together, getting the most out of them in a time where you hear about the importance of recruiting. One thing he said after that game against Georgia last year was that they need to recruit better. I think he's done that in a variety of different ways over this past offseason, and now we're going to see if they're able to manage those expectations and live up to the hype of what everybody's thinking that they should do.
Now, speaking of hype, Lane Kiffin has been called the portal king. Now, according to ESPN's recruiting rankings, Ole Miss has the top incoming portal class. So what's the biggest thing you see in regards to the transfer portal that Lane Kiffin partook in that stood out for you?
Honestly, the last 3 years, I've been very surprised at the success he's gotten out of bringing so many different players from different places with different experiences together and playing so well in Oxford. We say the portal king, but there really is a technique to that. And Walter Nolan comes in as a D lineman. This is a guy who played tremendously well in Texas A&M. He's a game breaker when you get him going. You think about a Juice Wells that he's brought to Oxford from South Carolina, a guy that, quite honestly, South Carolina's playing Georgia tight until Juice Wells gets hurt. So match him up with a Trey Harris. I think that's going to be a tremendous boost for their offense. And so you get a pass rusher from Florida in Princely. And so he's, again, this offseason, done what he does every single offseason, bring in some transfers, receivers, find out what he needs, go poach from there. But the difference is that now Ole Miss has an opportunity to do something that they have never done.
Absolutely. And 7 of the top 75 transfers, not too bad.
Give me something.